Okay, today we're going to start 4.1, which basically we're going to go over writing equations in slope-intercept form using linear equations to solve real-life problems. Okay, basically we're going to start from two different points and write an equation. Actually three, but let's start with the first one. The first one, I'm going to give you the slope and the y-intercept. You are going to turn that into the formula. So we know the formula to be y equals mx plus b. So if we know the underlying formula, all we have to do is substitute in for the information we're given. Now we know slope is to be the same as m, and the y-intercept is our b. So all you have to do is write the formula. Y equals slope is 0, x plus b, which in this case is 9. We know that if slope is 0, that means 0 times x is 0. So our actual equation is just y equals 9. Okay, looking at slope-intercept for the next one, we have slope is -1 and the y-intercept is 0. So once again, we have y equals, we're going to put the -1 in front of the x, plus 0. Well, this time we're going to go through and say, okay, if we're adding 0, that's the same as saying we don't have anything at all. So this is just y equals -x. And if you notice, I made the 1 disappear because anything times 1 is itself. It's just the negative that we need to keep in the front. All right, the third one, we're going to do it, and then I want you to try to do 4, 5, and 6 on your own. So for number 3, the last one we're going to do together, we have y equals, the slope is 2, we put our x behind it, and instead of doing plus a negative, we're just going to say -3, because when you add a negative, that's the same as saying that it is negative. And that one doesn't have to go any further. All right, I'm going to pause the video. I want you to pause your video, I should say. I'm going to pause this. And when it comes back up, 4, 5, and 6 will be done for you. But like I said, try it first and then check it yourself. These are not difficult ones. Remember, the formula we're doing is y equals mx plus b. You're replacing m and b in the formula. Good luck. Alrighty, let's check 4, 5, and 6. For number 4, our slope is going to be -3, so it's -3x plus 7. Number 5, we have 4x minus 2. And number 6, we have y equals 1/2x plus 2. Okay, hopefully you got those. Let's look at number 7, 8, 9, and 10. These are the next 4. What I want to do is look at it from this standpoint. And by the way, if you're wondering, we're on page 99 of your note packet. Sorry, I forgot to say that to you. We're on page 99 of your note packet, which starts chapter 4 for us. So for these next 4 questions, basically we are going to determine the slope first, and then we're going to circle the y-intercept. So I'm actually going to highlight the y-intercept so that we know where it's at. So for the first one, right here is my y-intercept at 0, -1. We know that our slope we can determine by counting from one order pair to the next. So if I start here and go up, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 over 1. So my slope is 4 over 1. It is a negative slope because we are going down. If you read left to right, you are going down. So that is my m. So my m is -4. My b is going to be whatever the y-intercept is, which is -1. So now we have the same information that we had above, so we can just write the equation. Y equals -4x minus 1. All right, so let's do number 8. Same thing. I'm going to highlight my ordered pair. Sorry about the smudge there. And we're going to determine slope. So let's count up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I am 4 over 2, which is going to be 2. And this is a positive because if I go from left to right, I'm getting greater as I go. So this is what m equals. My b is going to be 0 because I'm crossing the intercept. All right, so that means that what I'm basically going to have is y equals 2x plus 0 is not going to change anything, so we don't need to put the plus 0 at the end. All right, are you feeling confident? Let's try number 9. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this for you. So there's 9s and there's 10s. I want you to try to get their y-intercept and then tell me what slope is and then write the equation. So I should have an m equals a b and then my equation y equals. Same thing here. M, b, and a y equals. All right, let's pause the video and let's see what you get. All right, so how did you do? For the first one, for number 9, did you get negative 3/4 for your slope? Did you get your b as 3? Good. When we put it into our equation, it's y equals negative 3/4 x plus 3. And number 10, then same thing. You count up, so you're going to have negative 9 over 3, and it's negative again because as you read left to right, it's getting smaller. So negative 3 is my slope, and my b is 5. So it gives me negative 3x plus 5. All right, excellent. So let's go ahead and start the next one. So 11 and 12, if we look at those two, you're going to find for number 11, we are looking for the same things. Now, I apologize for number 12 having an extra dot. Got a little distracted when I was graphing, believe it or not. So let's look at this. So the first thing we're going to do, like we said before, we're going to get m and we're going to get b, and then we're going to write our equation. So m and b, and then we're going to write our equation. So pause the video again. I want you to get the slope for number 11 and number 12. Now they are both positive, so you don't have to worry about changing the sign because if you read from left to right, they're positive. All right, take a moment, pause your video. Okay, so did you get a half for your slope and negative 2 for your y-intercept, giving you y equals 1/2 x minus 2? How about number 12? Did you get 2 over 2, which became 1? And then did you get 1 for your b, which means you have x plus 1 as your equation? If you did, excellent job. All right, so we're ready to start our next phase, which is going to be the third one. Because we did the first one, we're going to look at what they give us. The second one, we had to go off the graph. The third one and final one for this section really is going to be taking two ordered pairs and writing the equation. So here's the thing. You're going to need another formula. Now, we have already done this formula, so this is not brand new. The slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're going to take this formula and we are going to get slope. Now, one of each of your ordered pairs in this case is special. Special being that it is the y-intercept. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight it. And how do I know it's the y-intercept? Well, folks, it's the one that has 0 in place for x. So since I know it has 0 in place for x, then I know that I'm going to end up having that as my b. So for each of the 4 that we're going to work out here, you're going to notice that I highlighted the one that was considered the y-intercept. Now we just have to get slope. So to get slope, let's make this our x1, y1, and this our x2, y2. That's a y. So I have 4 minus a negative 4 over 8 minus 0. So I'm looking at 8 over 8 equals 1. So this is my m. My b, of course, is negative 4. So y equals 1x minus 4, or y equals x minus 4. Let's look at this one, and then I want you to try this on your own. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So I have negative 7 minus 1 over 0 minus 2. So I'm looking at negative 8 over negative 2, which becomes positive 4. So that's what your m is. My b, remember, is just this number here, which is negative 7. So y equals 4x minus 7. All right, so I'm going to pause the video. I want you to pause the video, and I want you to do 15 and 16. We will check back and see how you did. Okay, so does your 15 and 16 look like mine? Let's hope. Your slope for the first one is a fourth. So y equals 1/4 x. Remember, whatever it is in the back, and that right there should be a +2. Apologies about that. My ink pen must have not hit that mark right. Over here, same thing. We have slope being -1 and the y-intercept being -5. So you can write it as y equals -1x minus 5 or y equals -x minus 5. Either way is a correct response. Okay, so let's finish up the rest of this. If you look at 17 through 25, what I really want you to look at for 17 is going to be the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video after I mark the ones that are our special ones. And that way you get a little more practice working this on your own. If you can't remember the formula, remember it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That is my slope. And I'm going to circle your y-intercepts, or your b's in this case. So pause the video and finish 17 and 18, and then we will see how you did. Okay, so here are 17 and 18. As you notice, I showed the x1, y1, x2, y2 below each one order pair. And then we did slope. So we have -1x plus 8 or -x plus 8 being my first equation. The second equation is -4x plus 3. All right, excellent. Now, 19 through 24 is just an exercise of understanding what f of x really stands for. All right, so what I'm saying is if I put a number in for x, this is what I will get. So really all I'm saying is that number's x and that number's y. So think of this as x and this is y. So I'm saying I have 0, 5 and I have 4, -3. And I'm asking you to still write the equation. So folks, really, you are treating this the exact same as what you did with the 13 through 18. The only difference is that you have to first rewrite it into something usable for you. And I highly encourage that just take a moment, rewrite them so that you can see these for what they are. It makes it a whole lot easier for you. And it makes it so that when you are working the problems, you're not trying to remember several different things as you're working them. So I just did 3 of them. I am not going to do the 22 through 24. I just want to do the first 3. We're going to treat them exactly the same. So I just had you rewrite them. Remember, whoever's in the parentheses is x. Whoever is equal to is y. All right, and this right here was a -5. I have it too close when I was writing it. Okay, so when we have this here, we're going to do the same thing. This is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. So I have -3 minus a -5 over 4 minus 0. So I'm looking at 2 negatives make a positive, so I'm looking at 2 over 4, which is a half. So this is my m. My b is going to be -5. So my equation is y equals a half x minus 5. Now, do 20 and 21. I'm going to pause the video so that you can work it out. And then I want you, when it comes back up, if you click it on and don't let it go, then your answers are going to be there. Please make sure you pause the video so that you can get a full experience of this. Okay, hopefully you've paused the video and you've done 20 and 21. For 20, I got y equals, if you want to put a 1x in front of it, you can, but it's x plus 10. And then for number 21, I did show the -1x there originally, but then you can just write it as -x plus 5. All right, last one is number 25. Now, number 25 says, an electrician charges an initial fee of $50 and $190 after 4 hours of work. Okay, write a linear model that represents the total cost as a function of the number of hours worked. So the initial fee is my B. So I know B is my $50. All right. Now, what could help us is a couple things. Let's find out how much he charges per hour. So 190 is going to look like this. So we have 190 divided by 4, Or you can do this. This is an order pair. 0, 50 and 4, 190. How did I know that? Well, at 0 hours, I am paying $50 for a charge. They said that is my initial fee, so that is my B. So this would be for every 1 hour, I charge so much. So for 4 hours, I charge that. So I wrote it as an intercept or as an order pair. Basically, you're dividing this. So 4 goes in there 4 times, which is going to give me 16, 3, 0. So 4 goes into 30, not an even time, which is 7. So that's 28. We carry down a 2. So it looks like it's going to be 47.5. So it's $47.50 an hour, which is Part B's answer. That's what I was wanting to know for Part B. This is how much do I charge per hour. It says write a linear model that represents the total cost as a function. So if we wrote it for Part A, now that we have this here, we can say that y equals 47.5x plus 50. So for each hour, I am going to be charged $47.50 plus the initial call fee. All right, so that's what they were talking about there. This is a little more unique, a little more difficult, but it's the same concept as we go through. All right, so we are going to stop here. Remember, we went through a lot of things. We did a rehash of slope again, how to use the slope formula. If you don't remember, go back to Chapter 3. That would be a good chapter to go back and review. We looked at that in, I think, 3.5 is the slope. Yes, 3.5 is where we covered that. So if you do not remember how to use that, go back to 3.5, and that will help you go through those concepts. All right, good job, and we will go over the homework together in class.